Merry Christmas, everybody. It's ShadowStar here for a brand new Doctor Who review. It's time for Joy to the World. Exactly what you'd expect from Stephen Moffat. I mean, we got bootstrap paradoxes, we got the villain guard, we got a sappy ending. It's Moffat. He's here to give you a Christmas. And, I mean, it was still a delightful Christmas episode. One thing I find a little odd straight away is, leading into this episode, the girl Joy, she was promoted heavily, I think mainly because the actress is famous for something, but she's promoted heavily and she's billed as a second cast member after the Doctor. And yet, I don't think she was, she had the nice ending, but, she had just as much screen time as, the hotel lady. But that's a nitpick aside, it's just, I guess it just comes down to casting. Anyway, we introduce ourselves to the space hotel, the time hotel, they take you to different places. I feel like I've seen this before, and I can't remember why. But yeah, we got a hotel where you can go to different places. We get that little joke where the Doctor's there, he goes to different places. First it's a running gag, and then we come back to it later when we're looking for things, etc. And then, then we get it, then the Doctor starts exploring the hotel, and we get introduced to this Trev character, and he's a delightful character, and he dies, because it's for Stephen Moffat, so he's got to kill the delightful characters, but they're not really dead, they're uploaded to consciousness. Stephen Moffat started to really love uploading people's consciousness to the sky. It keeps happening. First it was in this episode, then it was in Boom, and it's been in a few other episodes. I mean, hell, it happened in River Song. It seems to be a recurring pattern with him. But I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed that little dynamic of the Doctor talking with him because, we had that whole little fun with Ruby, and we haven't really had the Doctor introducing himself to new people. And this episode was full of the Doctor introducing himself to new people. First with Trev, then with the hotel lady, which is a fun experience, which we'll get into in a second. But I love that little opening little bit before we get into the plot. Then the Doctor goes off, and then Trev takes a suitcase. We see the suitcase, and it kills people, and you're like, okay, this is interesting. Where are we going with this? And, we get all that. Then the Doctor actually confronts, because then we get introduced to Joy, and she's just in her hotel room, and it's just random stuff happening, and then she gets a suitcase, and then Stephen Moffat pulls off his old favourite trick of the bootstrap paradox. It's ripped straight out of the space-time minisode from, Series 6, where the Doctor runs in a door, tells him what he needs to know, goes off, and therefore he always has the code to open the suitcase or whatever. So we find out the suitcase is going to explode unless it has somebody, so he deactivates it. But then and then we get this 10-minute sequence of the Doctor trapped for a year living on Earth, which, as delightful as that is, it opens up a few interesting plots, because that means throughout assuming if we have any present-day episodes through the upcoming season, remember that he is also in a hotel the whole time. And if there's any crazy plots on Earth in that time, that means we now have that Doctor living on Earth, as well as whatever else is happening on Earth. There's a lot of just Doctor stuck on Earth. Also, I know it's a common thing that the Doctor says he doesn't normally live day-to-day life, but are we forgetting the entire 3 seasons of the Third Doctor where he was stuck on Earth? He lived day-to-day there for years, so I know, it's a nitpicky thing, but they bring that up all the time where the Doctor says, I don't usually live day-to-day, but he has done that multiple times, especially as the Third Doctor. But anyway, this episode, it's got a villain in the sense of the villain guard and their little star bomb thing that's going to explode, and then it just kind of bonds itself with Joy, but it doesn't have an aggressive villain, so it definitely has that Christmas vibe with the fact that it doesn't have a true villain who, at least they're not in your face about it. The characters are a little bit sinister whenever they take up the suitcase, but then, like most things Stephen Moffat, you can break it by getting emotional. When she was scared or when she was angry, she was able to break free from it. Because she knew she was going to die, she temporarily broke free. Because the Doctor got her angry, she broke free. And brings up an interesting tidbit. This is the first time in canon TV Doctor Who that we've confirmed that COVID and restrictions and whatnot actually existed in the Doctor Who universe. It did have a brief mention in one of the lockdown adventures with Bill Potts, but it's debatable if the Lockdown Adventures are canon. I choose to say they are, but who knows what canon is anymore. But, but it's the first time it's mentioned, which is interesting because through the Jodie era during 2020 and 2021, it was not made slightly at all. I suppose then it would have been too close to home. And now it's still too close to home because, it's not just a quick little reference to the COVID restrictions. We get a heavy dose of how fucked up some of those restrictions can be on people's lives. That plot with Joy, it goes from, oh, she's just a sweet character to, oh, she lost her mother while she was in hospital and she couldn't see her due to COVID restrictions. That's very deep and very real for something Doctor Who to tackle. But again, it's an interesting episode to talk about. An episode without a true villain is always fascinating because you don't really have someone to confront. The Doctor has some cool scenes, but he's not confronting a villain per se. He has some cool scenes where he talks to Joy about her life and breaks her down. He has the most delightful scenes with the hotel worker and with Trev at the beginning. There's lots of little fun bits, but, there was moments at the beginning that, like I said, I want to go back. That beginning scene with Trev, that was having a delightful time. I was laughing with the Doctor when he first comes out the TARDIS and he's got coffee and whatnot. That was a delightful little scene. But all in all, it was a delightful episode, and there were moments where I'm wondering, where's this going? When we get back to Joy, I'm like, where's this going? I do like the interesting way they handle it, where they need to open this stone monument thing or whatever, so he takes a rope through the hotel, back through the train, and uses the train's weight to tether it to some mountain. And there's some good jokes too, when they're like, why'd you take that ladder? Why'd you take that rope? Because it was there for the Mount Everest guys. But all in all, it's a sappy little ending. No, I'm not pooping on it. I get it. It's Christmas. I don't mind a sappy little ending, especially at Christmas. But it's definitely a Moffat have some sprinkles at the end type of ending, and that's okay. We've had some crazy stuff, and after the kind of mild episode that was the season finale last season, it's nice to have this. But all in all, because of that, it makes it very quick to wrap up. It feels like I can contain this episode very quickly. It's got a lot of Moffat-isms with the time and the Doctor trapped on Earth and some silly jokes. It's got the schmaltzy ending, which is fun. The characters are all delightful, from Joy to the hotel worker whose name I forget sadly, to Trev at the beginning, a random cameo by a Silurian. There's pretty much every character is delightful because we have no true villain. So, it's a delightful episode. It had a sappy ending. It had one bit that was surprisingly deep with Joy's mother, and it had some time travel shenanigans, and all in all, this was just the Doctor being delightful, and that's what I love. All in all, this was the Doctor being delightful, and I feel like that's the biggest takeaway from this. It's a sweet little Christmas episode because we're between companions. We did get a brief cameo by Ruby, I guess, but it was just a quick cameo, because there was that bit where he said, oh, I haven't phoned Ruby, because he is stuck on Earth, he could go see her, but he doesn't, but he does phone her and then she gets a call, and then she gets a phone call, you think it's going to be the Doctor, it's just her mother. So, yeah, all in all, a delightful episode, I'm repeating myself, but I suppose that's it. Well, I guess, I'm not sure, I think the next season airs probably around a similar time to last year's, but otherwise, I suppose that's it. There's not much else to say. Like I said, delightful. The main takeaway from this, it was fun to see the Doctor going around and being delightful to people. I think that was a good takeaway from this episode. Ncuti Gatwa does a great job of just interacting with cast members and being the Doctor, introducing himself in that fun doctory way. It's very Matt Smith in a way. Not overly Matt Smith, but definitely in that kind of lighthearted, introduce yourself weird kind of weirdness. Anyway, I think I've rambled on enough. There's not a lot to say about this episode. It's very self-contained, it's delightful, but that's about it. Well, with that being said, I enjoyed the episode, so I will see you next year for more Doctor Who reviews, gaming shows, and other things as well. See you next time, guys.